In 2001, Shrek changed animation forever, winning the first Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, as well as shattering box office expectations and becoming the fastest-selling DVD in history. Let's break down this classic from 2001.
What's up, movie friends? Welcome back to Raiders of the Lost Podcast, the ultimate film and TV podcast. And finally, after many requests,
Olivia,
in years,
4 years later,
Liv hounding us. Just kidding, Liv, we love you. We're finally doing Shrek, an animated classic, and something we grew up watching. I think we were 10 or 11 when it came out, so we were quite young when it came out. And it blew the chains off the door. Made $500 million, sold millions of DVDs and VHSs, and spawned a big franchise that's grossed over $2 billion. Even the last one, Shrek Forever After, made $750 million. And
holy bejesus.
Currently developing a fifth film, which I think will be a huge success given the length of time between the last films. So it's a very successful franchise. Really fun animation, great characters. Mike Myers as Shrek, Eddie Murphy as Donkey, Cameron Diaz as Princess Fiona, and John Lithgow as a great villain in Lord Farquaad, making fun of fairy tales in a fun way and tying together so many characters and stories that we know so well and weaving them into this one. It's just a really delightful film to behold.
It's so funny. Yeah. It still holds up to this day. And what I love about this movie is it was sort of a backseat at the time when it was being made because DreamWorks was also making
The Prince of Egypt.
Yes. Which is stellar. Animation's incredible.
Yeah.
And so they had their top animators working on Prince of Egypt, and then the less experienced or demoted animators would be pushed down to Shrek, be on Shrek duty. And I don't think anyone expected it to be as big of a hit as it became because it was such a success. $500 million at the box office in 2001 off an animated feature, wins the first time ever, the category of Best Animated Feature-Length Film at the Academy Awards. And when it comes to animation and storytelling, this is a perfect example. And in filmmaking in general, you don't need the greatest gear. You don't need the best equipment. You don't need the best CGI or animation. If you have a really good story and really good acting, really good characters, and just solid filmmaking, you have a hit on your hands. You have a terrific film because the animation on this movie, the characters are great, but the backgrounds can be quite boring sometimes. You know, a lot of the worlds, it's just a castle with gray walls. It's very cheap, very safe, and limited.
Just grassy outdoors.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Very simple, yeah.
But the characters in the story are what make this movie so entertaining. Yeah, the background isn't great all the time, and it's just oftentimes just an empty vastness of gray stone walls. But it works because everything else is so magic.
And this is the film that actually pretty much saved DreamWorks animation from going under because they had just come out with The Road to El Dorado, which did not perform well at the box office, and then The Prince of Egypt, which they were making at the same time, came out first, also did not do well at the box office, and so they were in a lot of trouble. So Shrek, being the massive success it was, ended up basically saving DreamWorks animation and spawning this huge franchise, and then DreamWorks has gone on to, I believe they did How to Train Your Dragon, I believe.
Kung Fu Panda franchise.
Kung Fu Panda. So Megamind. So obviously Despicable Me. There's one of the biggest franchises for animated franchises there are. But it's all because of Shrek really exceeding expectations and connecting with audiences. And you'd be hard pressed to find someone who doesn't like Shrek. I think it's just such a wildly, universally loved film and franchise. And also the fans of Shrek, the hardcore fans, they are hardcore fans and they love it. And I think
Ride or dies.
The movie is a lot of fun, and I love the idea of it's a fairy tale, and we get a lot of great contemporary music. It also shows the datedness of the film when you got Smash Mouth as your leading band.
Hey, there's no Shrek without Smash Mouth, and there's no Smash Mouth without Shrek.
That's the question: would Shrek be as good without Smash Mouth in it?
Well, I mean, not even just the first one, but it's also connected in the other movies as well, Smash Mouth. Yeah. So they go hand in hand, like spaghetti and meatballs.
I just love, and they did a really great cover of the final track in the film. I like that cover they did of that song.
We all know the plot of Shrek. A mean Lord Farquaad, exiles fairy tale creatures to the swamp of a grumpy ogre who must go on a quest and rescue a princess for the Lord in order to get his land back because Shrek wants his swamp. Like Anthony said, this movie pokes fun at fairy tale creatures, pokes fun at Disney quite a bit with a lot of their magical lore, their magical creatures, their princesses, and I think that's one of the funnest aspects of this movie is the meta quality and the spoof parody quality to it of all the great fairy tales we know and love. And I think that's what they're trying to do with this movie, especially with the book end of it, with the literal book of opening and closing, like Once Upon a Time, that ends with they lived ugly ever after. Stuff like that is really fun. They're poking fun at fairy tales, not taking itself too seriously, but also knowing in fact that it is a fairy tale at the same time that they're doing all of that.
Honestly, my favorite, let me know what your favorite one is. Which one of the fairy tale references is your favorite? Because I love the Three Blind Mice.
The three blind mice is hysterical.
Yeah, I love them.
And I love how they get turned into three blind horses at the end. They're really funny. I would say
because they got the sunglasses. Yeah. They got the little sunglasses. It kills me.
I love the Gingerbread Man.
Gingerbread Man's great.
Gingerbread Man kills me every time.
Yeah.
Not my gumdrop buttons. Anything but my gumdrop. Do you know the Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man. Yes, I know the Muffin Man. I love the Three Blind Mice. It's so funny. Now this movie was under development for a long fucking time.
I also didn't know it was based off a book.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a book either. It's a book written
by
William
Shrek exclamation point.
Yeah, written by William Steig. And now the guy who basically produced this film, he did so many great animated classics, like so many Disney classics, like Little Mermaid and Aladdin, films like that. So he was probably at the time just like the Jeffrey Katzenberg, the animation producer of Hollywood. It took him a while to get this going. So Steven Spielberg purchased the rights to the book in 1991. 1991. This film came out in 2001.
It's a long time.
It was in development for such a long time. Went through different casts, different directors. Went through over 20 different rewrites of the screenplay. There were times where the story was about Shrek being a teenager. There was one where Shrek wanted to be a brave knight and tried to become a knight.
And Shrek is a golden retriever married to Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler is in love with a golden retriever. And
Adam Sandler plays. It's an Autobot reference to South Park.
Autobot. And so different actors are playing the characters, different directors coming in and out. They didn't really know what to do with the story, and they kept trying things out and trial and error, failing. And it even got to the point where Chris Farley was cast as Shrek and recorded most of the dialogue for the original script. And they even did a test film. So, have you seen the Shrek test footage?
Yeah, I've seen. So what they did was they sort of did a mocap with miniatures. That's what you're talking about?
So it was the original plan for how they were going to animate it. They did a test of it.
They finally actually released it online just in 2023.
Yeah, so it's a minute long, and it's a very different looking Shrek. He's much more grotesque looking. He's still got like the fun, the devil may care
That's
attitude.
not the Chris Farley one, though.
No, yeah, it's not the Chris Farley one. The Chris Farley one, there's just
storyboard.
It's just storyboards, and he did some dialogue. But
the one you're talking about was made in 1995.
Yes, it was just some random actor. I don't even know who voiced him. But it was Shrek walking through a medieval village, and then some guy tries to rob him. Some creature tries to rob him. He chokes him and then flings him into the air. And it's like in a funny tone. And some kind of 90s rock song is playing, and he starts dancing. Shrek looks...
No, it's not. It's I feel good.
Yeah, I feel good. Yes, thank you. And he's like grooving and stuff.
Brown?
Yeah, James Brown. But Shrek is like scary looking and kind of creepy. Also, the animation just didn't look good. It didn't look their planned way of approaching the animation didn't look right with both mocap and using live action stop motion background. So none of it looked very good. And so they decided to just do a whole rewrite, redesign.
But they spent over a year and a half developing that.
A year and a half making a 1 minute short, and then they scrapped it all because they were like, this is not the way to do it. And then they changed the look, the feel of it. They were also going with a very dark tone, and it looked like Tim Burton-esque in terms of, if you can actually see concept art of the environments, and they were going like very like grim fairy tales, dark, gritty, spooky. And especially with the lighting, oftentimes nighttime scenes, super contrasty, highs and lows for lights. So they're going with like a Tim Burton feel to it. Ultimately, it's not the Shrek we know and love, and they changed it all for the better. But it's interesting they took a much darker approach. And a crazy fact about that little minute-long test footage they spent a year and a half on, J.J. Abrams directed it.
What?
J.J. Abrams was the director of the Shrek test footage.
Wow, I had no idea.
I think it was his first job as a director.
That's wild. And yeah, so Spielberg got the rights in 1991, and that's before DreamWorks was even founded. That's how long Spielberg's had the rights to do a Shrek movie based off the book.
He wanted to do 2D animation at first.
Yeah, so, and then like Anthony said, even before Chris Farley, Bill Murray was interested, and Spielberg was interested in having him play Shrek and Steve Martin playing Donkey. Then Chris Farley was cast. He did the voice for the entirety of the movie except for 5 days left of voice acting to do. Unfortunately, he passed away. That was back in 1997. He didn't finish it. They asked his brother to finish for him, although he said no. And then eventually Mike Myers was hired to replace him. And then he actually gave Shrek that Scottish accent, which I think was really great for the character. You can go on YouTube and watch and listen to the storyboard with the voice acting from Eddie Murphy and Chris Farley in one of the scenes between Donkey and Shrek. Mm-hmm. And you can see and get a taste of what Chris Farley's voice and characterization of Shrek was going to be, which is basically his voice. He didn't put an accent on it or anything, but it was more of a animated, friendly voice for Chris Farley.
They also developed the story adaptation and character adaptation for Farley. So they kind of wrote the character for him once he signed on to it. And so when Mike Myers came on, he asked them, his one thing was, if I'm going to do this, you need to change it and retailor it for me in a new interpretation, because I don't want to do anything that Farley did. He didn't want to just do Farley's role because he felt it would be a disservice to just take his role. So he actually had DreamWorks rewrite the script a little bit and just change the characterization to Mike Myers' strengths. And he played with a bunch of accents, different accents he would do for character bits on SNL. He tried the Scottish one, but they weren't sure about it. So they actually had him originally record with his Canadian accent, just as Mike Myers' accent, but it didn't work. None of the comedy landed. And so they actually did another round of recording, and but Mike Myers, being the stand-up guy that we all think he is, he actually deferred a payment for doing the re-recordings, and he did it all with the Scottish accent, and it worked so much better. And I don't think Shrek would work without that Scottish accent. It's so perfect and really helps the character fly. And so that Scottish accent of Mike Myers is just as important as like the look of Shrek. And he is Scottish descent. Mike Myers' grandparents and parents were Scottish, so he basically did an impression of like his parents when they would read him bedtime stories.
He's a great accent artist.
Oh yeah, he's wonderful with accents, and so it's interesting. I don't think it would work with an American accent, even though Donkey has an American accent, and even though Fiona has an American accent. For a medieval film, nobody has British accents.
Shrek Farquaad does.
No, it's John Lithgow. He just sounds like John Lithgow.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's just John Lithgow. It's ironic that Shrek's really the only one with a European UK accent, with the Scottish accent.
That's a good point. Now, Shrek was directed by Andrew Adamson and Vicky Jensen, written by Ted Elliott, Terry Rossio, Joe Stillman, and Roger S.H. Schulman, based off Shrek by William Steig.
Shrek!
Mike Myers stars as Shrek, obviously, as well as one of the three blind mice, Eddie Murphy as Donkey, Cameron Diaz as Princess Fiona, John Lithgow as Lord Farquaad, Vincent Castle as Monsieur Robin Hood, Conrad Vernon as Gingerbread Man, Chris Miller as Magic Mirror and Geppetto, and Cody Cameron as Pinocchio and the Three Little Pigs. All voice acting was done separately. They all record their lines, just being fed lines from somebody at the recording studio, but none of them were in the sound booths together recording lines. Sometimes they do that, sometimes they don't with animated films.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the actor's schedules and then also the filmmaker behind it. I mean, this is, I think, just three extremely busy actors on top of Eddie Murphy probably did all of his lines before Mike Myers even came in.
Probably, yeah, he's probably
so
done.
that probably had something to do with it. Maybe they did some pickups with him to bounce off of what Mike Myers was improvising, but he recorded when they were recording with Farley, so he was probably the first one out of the entire cast to be done.
That's just an assumption. Who knows, man?
That's why I said probably. I mean, I said probably.
Just get up your jump to conclusions bad over there. You act like you were there.
I'm just saying they had it in the bag with Eddie before Mike Myers was in.
Yeah, no, but you said he was done before anybody.
I said
the guy who did the Three Blind Mice could have been done before.
Do you know what the word probably means?
Well, I mean, you're just talking out of your butt.
Hold
man.
on, what's the word probably mean?
Most likely.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so
also,
I said most likely. I didn't say definitively. I said probably. It's possible.
It's a possibility. Yeah, that's what you should have said. It's possible. It's not probably. Probably insinuates that you know something that we don't.
You know what I do know?
What?
Shrek was a fucking gigantic home media success. Now, this is back when Shrek came out. It was still VHS times and DVD times.
DVD was booming.
DVD was booming, but a lot of people still had VHS sets, so it came out on both. Now, Shrek, to the surprise of everyone, I'm sure, actually surpassed Star Wars: The Phantom Menace in DVD sales, selling 2.5 million copies of DVDs in its first 3 days of release. And then another 4.5 million copies were sold on VHS in that time span, making it the biggest opening weekend in retail video since The Lion King in 1995. What's
insane is Shrek made over $100 million in home media.
Jesus Christ.
$100 million. This is what was so important before streaming for studios was the second box office you would get from DVD sales. People would buy DVDs the day they were released. Remember, trailers would come out for the DVD
Oh my
releases?
God, yes.
You still get them on the internet here and there, own this on digital and Blu-ray. But we used to see TV commercials for own Shrek on DVD on July 8th. It'd be like a second release.
Deleted scenes, interviews with the cast.
But it'd be so common to just go pick up a DVD and buy a DVD. It was normal back then. And it was a second wind that studios could depend on. If they didn't have a great box office, they could make a second box office and recuperate anything they would have lost from just a theatrical release. Now with home media, which is pretty much gone, it's still there. People do collect physical media and buy physical media, but it's mostly Blu-ray, and Blu-ray is pretty fucking expensive these days. It's like $40, $35 just to get a Blu-ray. So when you can just own it online or rent it for $5 here and there, it's less likely, I think, for people to buy them. But massive, massive home media sales. It broke the record previously held by Gladiator by becoming the fastest DVD at the time with over 5.5 million in sales in its initial release.
5.5 million sales, not in sales. So that many.
5.5 million sales.
Yeah, that many sold copies.
Absolutely absurd numbers.
So Shrek has earned DreamWorks $420 million just in DVD and VHS sales.
And also, of the 23 million copies that they printed, they've sold more than 21 million of them.
Where are all these DVDs?
That's crazy.
How many unsold DVDs have there been in the world?
But by 2002, they had already sold 10 million Shrek DVDs.
It's crazy.
That's a lot of money.
It's unbelievable. I remember we went to an airport once when we were kids, and there was like a giant Shrek statue like in the ceiling. Do you remember? Like that's how big it was.
I don't know.
I think it was Seattle. I think it was Seattle.
I saw a Shrek statue at DreamWorks Studios when I was there 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
I saw a preview of The Wild Robot, and they had 2 character statues, massive ones, like two like replicas of like how big they would be in real life.
That's awesome.
They're like 9 feet, 10 feet tall. It was Shrek and then Kung Fu Panda.
Well, something that I think really owes a testament to its success is that Shrek was made not just for children but for anyone to enjoy, and also a reason for that is all the cultural references. So when kids watch this movie, it all goes over their head, but when adults watch this movie, you're getting the references left and right. And like there's like the Babe reference, that'll do, donkey, that'll do. There's the Merry Men Matrix reference when she's fighting the Merry Men, and this is a time where a bunch of movies were referencing the Matrix fights and Fiona doing that the slow motion bullet time kick. Like so many great references. The dating game, I think, is a really great reference, and that's fun. So they did an amazing job of weaving in so many cultural references and Easter eggs for adults to enjoy when they watch this movie.
Plus Disney, the Disney princesses,
yes,
Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, all of them, and then Cinderella, they're sort of fighting, which was really funny, and the 7 Dwarfs. We also even have references with Tinkerbell, who falls on Donkey, and he says, "I can fly," which is a reference also to the 3 Little Pigs, who say he can fly, he can fly. The 3 Little Pigs breakdancing was really funny as well. Dumbo, they reference Dumbo in it. Also, what else are they referencing? A Christmas Carol at the end of the film.
Yes.
So
Tiny Tim
and Christmas Carol, where in the movie Gingerbread Man at the end of the film with the crutch because he's got one leg, it's a popsicle stick, right? Yeah. Or no, a candy cane, I think, something like that. He says, "God bless us, everyone." That's a reference to A Christmas Carol.
And technically, this franchise is still going and kicking and still very strong because Puss in Boots: The Last Wish just came out, and that was a huge success. And that's technically still part of the Shrek franchise.
It is. It's a spinoff.
Yeah. And from what I actually haven't seen that. That's actually an animated film I've been meaning to see because everybody who's seen it has said it's amazing.
Yeah.
And it was extremely successful. So the franchise is still chugging along at an amazing pace and still maintaining its quality. I would say it definitely dipped in quality with Shrek Forever After, the fourth one. But I think Shrek 2 is a fantastic sequel. And out of all of them, I would say Shrek 2 is definitely the best sequel of the Shrek movies.
And the music is great. I mean, we have obviously Smash Mouth, which we've been talking about with All-Star.
All-Star.
Huge part of the franchise and really just a part of Shrek in general. But we also have covers of On the Road Again by Donkey. We have Try a Little Tenderness is integrated into the film as well, which Donkey sings outside the doorway, which is such a great little thing. I wonder if Kanye got the idea to sample that song from watching Shrek. It was around I think it was before that album. And also, I mean, I think this is one of those great early animated films that did a great job of incorporating pop culture, just not culture, but just music as well, to make it feel sort of like a live action film, but also to cover them and sing them on screen, which is really great with the characters.
It's cool to mix in contemporary music with the period setting. It's a fun mix, and sometimes it doesn't work, but sometimes it really does work, and this is an example of that.
And I'm a Believer from Smash Mouth as well.
I'm a Believer. That's what I was talking about, the one they play at the end. I'm a believer. That's a good cover. That's a good cover. All it's missing is a Limp Bizkit song.
And so also, going back to the DVD release of this movie, so obviously DreamWorks and Spielberg are competitors with Disney, and so they had their DVD release. Again, DVD releases were a big deal. They treated it like a release of a movie in theaters with the commercials, trailers, dates for June 20th, get this on DVD.
That was for a lot of films. It was like their chance to actually profit. They made money back to break even in theaters. Now DVD is how you generate a lot of income with profits.
Yeah, like I said 4 minutes ago. But let's get back to what I was about to say. When they released this on DVD, there was a Disney film, Pixar film coming out in theaters at the time. Do you know what movie that would have been?
Hold on, repeat it again?
There was a Pixar film getting released the weekend that they decided to release the Shrek DVD.
So, 2001 Pixar, I'm going to go with, was it Monsters, Inc.?
Monsters, Inc. was being released on the Friday of that weekend. However, DreamWorks was going to release Shrek, I believe, on the Monday, but then they pushed it to a release on Friday at the same time. And
no fucking way.
So they released it at the same time as Monsters, Inc., and Disney execs thought that it was underhanded attempt to siphon some of their film's steam.
Wow. Talking about competition, man. That's hey, why not, man? That's fucking madly genius, though.
But Monsters, Inc. still earned that weekend $62 million at the box office, so it was a huge hit as well.
It's amazing to see how far animation, how big it's gotten in terms of like just seeing this past 2 weeks with Inside Out 2 making that much money. Like the potential for animated films these days is astronomical. In Super Mario Brothers last year. And so like if something like Monsters, Inc. came out now, it would absolutely destroy.
If it's a good movie. Yeah, that's the thing. It has to be a good movie because we've seen plenty of animated films the last 3 years alone just flop at the box office. I mean, Lightyear's a great example of a very expensive animated film from Pixar that just didn't even make its budget back in terms of the box office.
And I'm sure the movie had 10 years of development because it's a challenging thing. Like an ogre is a monster. It's like he's supposed to be scary. And obviously their first attempts with the early versions of Shrek, they didn't work out because like the audience can't connect to something too monstrous, and they can't connect, especially children. They wouldn't be able to connect to a character that scared them. So with the final iteration of Shrek, they managed to put in enough humanity in the character in his personality, but also in his look. He looks human-esque. Obviously, he's an ogre, but he's not scary. He can be scary, but he's pleasant to look at. And there's an element to that where I think they learn through tests that like you don't want to scare the kids, and you want to make something that people can connect to, they can root for. You want to root for Shrek because Shrek, and also like this movie has, aside from all the comedy and it's really fun, the music, and it's playful, it has really deep resonant themes. It has two main themes: accepting yourself and then not shutting yourself off from the world. So Shrek lives in isolation. He doesn't want anyone on his property. He doesn't want to connect to anybody. He doesn't want any friends. He doesn't want any intimate relationships. He just wants to be left alone. But that's because that's all he knows. All he knows is that people are afraid of him and that people hate him, so he hates people. And then Fiona learning to accept herself. She's trying to get rid of this curse. She wants it done. But then at the end, she chooses to stay as an ogre and also to be with Shrek. And so she learns to accept herself, something that she always kept hidden. Whenever the moonlight came, she ran away. She hides. She can't bear to look at herself, and so she learns in the course of the film to learn to accept herself, while Shrek learns to accept others.
And there's true love, which is so wonderful. I have a really cool fact about this movie that I don't know if you know, but there's someone from Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone who is tapped to play Lord Farquaad. However, before John Lithgow accepted the role of Lord Farquaad. We'll get to that after our intermission,
Oh, shit.
because I want to let you know. I want to see if you can guess who it was.
Okay.
Now, before we continue, the best way to support Raiders of the Lost Podcast is to become a patron at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. This is so important to the show because it financially supports us. It lets us do the show full time. We couldn't make all this content every week without our patrons, who are so vital to our show. With our Patreon access, you get bonus episodes every single week of the show that no one else can listen to or watch. You also get access to the ad-free version of every single episode, Patreon only. You get access to our Discord, free merchandise, all sorts of cool stuff. Sign up today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Another great way to support the show is to leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. These reviews help us get seen by new people, help us chart on podcast platforms. And we love to read them out. On Apple, you can leave written reviews. I'll read one in just a minute. And another great way to support the show is to just share us. Word of mouth is the best way for a podcast to grow. So send everybody you know who loves movies or TV or whatever our show so they can check it out and enjoy our breakdown of Shrek as well.
This episode, of course, is sponsored by our friends at movieposters.com. The number one place to get your posters online today. Be sure to use our promo code Raiders10 at movieposters.com. Get 10% off your order right now. They have a huge selection of pretty much every movie and TV show imaginable in their poster library. If you want some Shrek posters, go to movieposters.com. Use our promo code Raiders10 to get 10% off your order right now. They also do bi-monthly movie poster giveaways. Congratulations to Leonardo, who won a poster last week.
What a great name.
Yeah.
Leonardo. And I got this amazing backlit Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring poster and frame behind me on my side of the studio. Backlighting makes it look like this is an actual movie theater. It's a double-sided original print from back in 2001 when the film was released. I got a certificate and everything.
Wow.
And it told me the value of the poster as well. But I ain't ever selling this thing. I ain't ever selling it. So thank you to Movie Posters and David over there for hooking us up with this amazing poster and for decking out our set as well. Use that coupon code Raiders10 at checkout today. Now let me read. Wait, no, we have stuff to do first.
We got our intermission.
Yeah. I got too excited because I got.
Oh, you're going back into the episode.
I found a great review. It's really great and really funny. But let's get to our intermission, Anthony, and start with the movie quote competition. Are you ready?
Ready.
Garth, marriage is punishment for shoplifting in some countries.
Wayne's World.
Yeah.
That's good. All right, here's mine. I am a writer, a doctor, a nuclear physicist, and a theoretical philosopher. But above all, I am a man. A hopelessly inquisitive man. Just like you.
That's going to be the master.
Fuck yeah. Hell yes. Well done.
Guess this movie release year, Anthony. Well, actually, I changed this up a little bit. I decided to do, what year did Mike Myers join SNL?
Good
Saturday
question.
Night Live. When did Mike Myers first join?
94.
1988.
Oh, shit. Fuck.
And he was on the show for 6 seasons.
Wow. Oh, he ended in 94. What year did The Master come out?
Damn, what year did The Master come out? That's a good question. Choose wisely. 2011.
2012.
Damn it!
Almost, man.
God damn it. Okay, Anthony. Movie pop quiz time. Mike Myers has a cameo in Inglourious Bastards, as we all know. What rank was his character's military officer?
Fuck. I'm gonna say Lieutenant Colonel.
He was a general. General Ed Fennick.
Nice. All right. I love that scene.
Yeah. First time we saw, I remember seeing
Dude, the audience. I remember
Mike Myers.
The whole audience came.
I hadn't seen him in anything
Yeah.
really, besides I guess Cat in the Hat came up before that. But I never saw Cat in the Hat. Sorry, Donnie.
All right. Here's my quiz question. The Master features what 3 Oscar-winning actors?
Amy Adams.
Incorrect.
Oh my God.
Zero Oscars won.
Wow, that's right. Oh my God, 0 Oscars. Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yes.
Rami Malek.
Yes.
And Joaquin Phoenix.
Correct.
Yeah. Damn.
I knew you were
I
gonna
got
say
too
Amy
excited.
Adams.
In my head, it's like,
I
of
knew
course, Amy Adams has an Oscar.
You would think.
You would think.
You would think. Yeah.
Cool.
But nice, you got Rami Malek.
Yeah. Of course.
That was a sneaky one.
Sneaky, Anthony. All right. Who do we have for haters this week? Any unsubscribes? What are we cooking with?
Oh, yeah, we got a bunch of unsubscribes.
Oh, I can't wait to hear him, man.
We got a shit ton on Spotify. Ready?
Yeah.
The King of the North wrote, Tom Brady, unsubscribed.
Tom Brady?
Tom Brady.
Oh, Tom Brady.
Yeah. Victoria Pyro wrote, Victory Pro wrote, this is an awesome podcast, but I might have to unsubscribe because you guys sound the exact same. And if I don't look at the video, you guys should wear different colored hats or something. Unsubscribe.
Wear different colored hats.
That's funny. Matt Tolan wrote, if you loved your fans, you would have gotten the list from the Twin. Unsubscribed. That's from Movie News last week. This is an old one. Michael Fletcher Thomas, unsubscribed. Sorry. Movie Villains Draft Brace.
For that, we need context though.
Sorry.
Anthony's just saying funny things. They're inside things. So that's a reference to our Whiplash episode.
No, Movie Villain Draft episode.
Okay, Villain Draft, where Anthony was like said Fletcher was his first name. What's his last name?
I kept calling him Fletcher Thomas.
Yeah, Fletcher Thomas.
On that same episode, Brady Smith wrote, no Nurse Ratchet, unsubscribed. Also, Zachariah Paulson, where is Nurse Ratchet? That's it. I'm going to unsubscribe. Guy Amos wrote, no Roy Batty, unsubscribed.
Roy Batty.
Yeah, I got him. Well, he used to be right there behind me, but yeah, we totally missed him. Also, Jazzy Jeff, Meme Master, you posted his meme and you didn't tag him. You posted a meme that he made when Ghosts, and it's Gyllenhaal screaming in the mirror.
Oh my God! Did I forget?
So Jazzy Jeff wrote, whoever made this meme is probably unsubscribing. Don't worry, I tagged him afterwards.
Oh man,
I got him.
Nathaniel, I'm sorry, pal.
Not so Slim Shady. Few little nitpicks on the podcast in defining capitalism, but I'm not going to go on a socialist rant in the comments because this is a 3-year-old video. I'll just say unsubscribe.
Not going to go on a
This is
socialist.
from an old episode, I think. Usual Suspects from Cybersonic. Just found you guys. You're awesome. But you missed Bruce Willis and Sam Jackson in Glass. We were trying to figure out you asked me what films they starred in together. Subscribe and immediately unsubscribe.
Good catch.
Tarantino, movies ranked. Mason Lavender. I know I'm 4 months late to this video, but Hateful Eight at number 7 is not cool. Unsubscribed.
Hey, I wasn't happy about it.
It's tough to rank them.
Is that where you put Hateful Eight?
I can't remember. Maybe.
Because I'm pretty sure I put Hateful Eight like 5.
Maybe. This isn't a unsubscribe, but it's just a funny comment on our Twister episode. I must admit, I love seeing James fire back at Anthony. It seems like at last there has been some justice for James. I hope to see this trend only go upwards and James's voice not be suppressed by Anthony's banter any longer.
Which episode's that on?
Twister. With the lights. The airplane engine. The jet engine.
The jet engine?
Yeah.
Thanks, pal. You fucking proved him wrong. We got him, boys.
Got me.
We got him.
The fucking jet engine.
I couldn't believe you thought you didn't understand what I was saying.
It was not making sense in my head. I was like, they can just add that sound in post, James. You're like, no, making wind.
You're like, yeah, I know. It's wind sound. I'm like, no, literally fucking wind, Anthony. we got in an argument because I said I wonder if they brought in a jet engine to make the wind on camera.
Yeah, they did. You're right.
Yeah, but then Anthony was trying to say, no, they didn't do it for the sound. Like, they just recorded it separately. I'm like, no, I'm talking about the actual wind. It took 5 minutes for you to understand that. I meant, like, literally they created wind with a jet engine.
I think it's because I made a sangria before we were filmed.
Excuse.
All right, what's your streaming recommendation?
Well, first,
do we have a review?
Let me get to this 5-star written review from Lime Green Hoser.
What's up?
Good timing because we're talking about Shrek, and I have my best green shirt on that has nothing to do with Slytherin. A freaking wicked pissa. 5-star review. Absolute best movie podcast out there. I can finally tell the difference between James and Anthony's voices after listening to so many episodes, which proves there are actually 2 people running this podcast. This is my go-to for commutes to work. Shout out Trader Joe's.
Fuck yeah.
Trader Joe's needs to sponsor us at some point.
I know, right?
Chores and anything in between. I listen to this podcast so much, so entertaining. The production quality is top tier, and I love the intermissions so much. Welcome to be. You're here. You're part of one now, Lime Green Hoser.
Fuck yeah.
A true top of the line podcast that I will never stop listening to. 5 stars every single time. I unfortunately can't think of any reason right now to unsubscribe, but I might. But maybe I will one day. I hope not.
I hope not.
Lime Green Hoser, whoever you are.
Thanks,
Thank you
pal.
so much for the frickin' wicked pissa review.
That's a wicked pizza review guy. It's fucking
Sure
wicked
is.
awesome guy.
Cool.
What's your wicked awesome streaming rec guy?
Miami Vice on Netflix.
Oh yeah, the Michael Mann.
Mann movie.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but just some fun action. It's sexy.
Yeah.
Cool
Digital
cars.
cameras, like early days digital
Colin Farrell's
cinema.
hair in this is the best I've ever seen in my life.
Handlebar mustache. Did you see the interview he did recently?
No.
He was doing press for something.
Penguin.
And the interviewer asked him about Miami Vice. He's like, I don't fucking remember anything about that movie. He's like, I don't even remember making it.
What?
They asked him a question about it. He's like, I don't remember. He's like, I don't remember anything about that.
What was he
He's like,
doing?
apparently I made it, but I don't remember it.
Jeez, Colin. Hitting the Guinness at the end every day. Like, damn.
He drives a. No, who's driving in that movie? It's Jamie Foxx is driving in that. No, he is. It's a really nice Porsche.
Yeah, Porsche.
Really nice Porsche. It's like a sports car version of the Porsche.
Porsche is already a sports car.
But it's like a really sporty one. It's like extra sport.
Okay. It's even more sporty
James
version
is
of
like, shut the fuck up. I don't know much about cars.
it's like a Porsche, except it's a sports car version of it. The fuck are you talking
This
about?
is not car talk, as
The
you can tell.
fuck are you talking about?
No, it's like extra, like, it looks like a Ferrari, but it's a Porsche.
No, that would be what Corvette tries to do.
Yeah, make the $100,000 version of Ferrari.
Basically, that's
Yeah.
what Corvette's always kind of done.
Built, yes.
Porsche's always been their own thing, man. No one's Porsche.
No one's a Porsche?
No one can like make cars that look like Porsches.
Oh, okay.
They're so unique.
You said no one's a Porsche. That made no sense to me.
No, I said no one's Porsche. Where you just said.
Oh,
that-
no, what? No, like no other companies are
Yeah,
Porsche.
yeah.
Oh, Porsche's Porsche.
Yeah.
Cool.
No one else can do it.
What's the one that you want? The Carrera?
Uh,
James has a...
1994.
Yeah, you had-
964 911.
What?
964 the 911.
The 911.
That's when they started coming out with those models around 92, 93, 94.
You gonna get it one day?
I need 50K.
That's not that bad.
Well, yeah.
I thought it was
Maybe.
good. Yeah, it's not that much.
No, it's an older model. I mean, it wouldn't be I have to get it used. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a brand new Porsche. It'd be a used Porsche, so it'd have a good amount of miles on it.
Yeah.
So you can get them around that, but I mean the upkeep and maintenance of it's not going to be cheap. That's the thing. Especially for a sports car from the 90s. You know, if it was a domestic brand, then maybe it's better, like Ford.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as you get something post 1970s, you should.
So if you had money to throw down on a new car, you would get like a classic car instead of getting something new.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I would get that Porsche. That's what I would get. Everest Green.
Everest Green.
I saw one fucking last week on York Boulevard. I was on a walk.
The color?
No, I saw the Porsche model, but not the. It was a cherry red. It was beautiful, and I was like melting. I was drooling. I couldn't take I was like walking through the street, just like, oh my! I like almost hit cars. It was just so sexy, and I wanted to get a closer look at it, but it would just make me sad.
Because you don't have it?
I don't. It had to be somewhere, but it was beautiful.
Yeah, I got somewhere to be.
It was really beautiful. It's a lovely car.
All right, what's the streaming recommendation?
I already did it. It's Miami Vice. Oh, yeah. The fuck you? That's how we got in this conversation about Porsches.
I totally forgot.
You know what's funny is if he didn't even drive a Porsche in the movie.
Honestly, he might not even have a Porsche. Hold on, Miami Vice.
2006.
Was it 2006?
Yeah.
Holy shit. That was a long time ago. It's a Ferrari.
It's a Ferrari. You fucking idiot. It's like a Porsche, except it looks like a Ferrari. That's literally what you said. It's literally a Ferrari. It's a silver Ferrari.
Hey, I haven't seen that movie in a long time. Okay. It does look like a. It's like it does look like a Porsche.
It does not. It does not.
Yeah.
It looks nothing like a Porsche.
It looks exactly like a Porsche.
It looks like a Ferrari.
Oh my god! I can't believe I said it's like a Porsche, but if it looks like a Ferrari, it is a Ferrari. Oh man.
I'll give you a bit. The headlights look a bit like it.
Thank you.
A little.
It looks like a Porsche.
Sort of.
It has a similar look to a Porsche.
The newer ones, not the ones from the 90s.
I'm not that crazy. It does have a similar vibe to a Porsche. Look at that fucking thing.
Sort of.
Absolutely. So I was right.
Except you weren't. Oh, so now you're reversing it. So now it's a Ferrari that looks like a Porsche. Yeah. Instead of a Porsche that looks like a Ferrari.
I can just re-edit that so it says I said Porsche first.
I'm editing this episode, bitch.
Anyways, he whips around that thing.
Anyways, what's your streaming recommendation?
Sorry. Peeping Tom, which is a slasher film from 1960, which you should watch ASAP, or I'm going to be really mad at you. And it's an amazing...
I'm definitely not going to watch it then.
It's an amazing film about this guy, serial killer, who films all of his kills POV style with 35mm film, and then he cuts them into movies. And he's just looking for new prey. He works in the film industry as a focus puller, and it's just so fucking good. Amazing. Peeping Tom. Watch it ASAP if you are a fan of horror.
All right, let's get back into our episode on Shrek. And remember I teased
not Porsches.
A cool fact about Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and Shrek.
Oh, yeah. How could I forget?
Lord Farquaad, played by John Lithgow, before he was cast, there was an actor who chose to do a role in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone instead of Shrek. And so he didn't do Shrek because he did Harry Potter. Do you know who the actor was?
I think I know. And it's definitely probably the guy who played Sheriff of Nottingham.
What?
The guy who played the Sheriff of Nottingham.
The Sheriff of Nottingham?
Yeah, from Robin Hood. Which is probably why they wanted him, and that's Alan Rickman.
Oh, yeah, it was Alan Rickman.
Yeah, it was probably they probably wanted him as a reference to the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Gotcha. You could have just said Alan Rickman.
I know. I just wanted to show my reasoning first, and you clearly haven't seen Robin Hood.
It's been a while.
I said Sheriff of Nottingham, and James acted like I spoke a different language.
No, you've mumbled. Listen, you mumbled 17 letters
I
together.
said it was probably the guy who played the Sheriff of Nottingham.
But you mumbled it so hardcore that I literally heard it should probably be Nottingham. That's what it sounded like to me.
Open your ears, man.
Open your mouth when you talk.
Anyways, I was right.
Yeah, it was Alan Rickman. Also, Eddie Murphy's BAFTA nomination for his performance as Shrek of Donkey in Shrek was the first of its kind.
Oh, he's just nominated for supporting actor
for voiceover performance.
Voiceover performance.
First ever that ever happened for a BAFTA nomination.
Oh, did they make a category just for this year at first?
For voiceover? I don't know if BAFTAs have that, do they?
Well, that's what I'm asking. Was he just nominated in the regular supporting actor category? Is what I'm asking.
I'm just saying that his nomination for voiceover performance was the first of its kind.
No, so what I'm saying is, since it was the first of its kind, was he just nominated in the normal supporting actor category as an animated actor voiceover?
Yes.
that was what would make it the first of its kind. You just keep saying first of its kind. And I'm asking what made it first of its kind.
Because it was the first of its kind.
Okay.
Get it?
Yeah. I'm just trying to get to what first of its kind is referring to. And you're just being a dick. You just keep repeating it.
It was the first of its kind. I don't know how much more detail you need.
I need more detail of why it was the first of its kind.
Because there was a voiceover performance nominated for a BAFTA.
Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, supporting role actor.
Yeah.
Yes. Actor, so exactly what I said.
Yeah, exactly what I said. It was the first of its kind. Speaking of voice acting.
Get the fuck out of here.
So you know the famous line, "What are you doing in my swamp?"
Yeah.
Did you know that they actually forgot to record that line for Mike Myers? And so when they were in post-production on this movie, producer Jeffrey Katzenberg had to fly to New York City and have Mike Myers read that line in the back of a limo.
Oh, cool. Wow. That's a great fact.
Pretty crazy,
great
right?
Fun fact.
That's a big line in the movie.
Huge line. Ultimately, it's a very simple story, and that works for it being a children's movie and just a family movie overall. I like how small in scope it is in terms of the characters. It's not like a huge ensemble like so many modern animated films are. I feel like in the 2010s, when animated films started getting very successful, I feel like, and it's getting better now, the studios were like, let's get as many celebrities' voices in it as possible. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, we got like 12 A-listers in the cast. But I do like this because it's so small in scope. You really have 3 A-list actors in this film. John Lithgow not really being a household name for family and everyone. But, you know, Mike Myers, Cameron Diaz, Eddie Murphy. That's it. But it works. It's like a great trifecta. 3s are a big thing in storytelling. They always work. They're always very resonant. You allow the characters to play off each other really well in different ways. So Fiona and Shrek, Shrek and Donkey, Donkey and Fiona, Donkey and Shrek. So you get so many great little nuances, great jokes, and great different rapports between each character. So the 3 character 3s work really well.
It sort of has, I feel like, it's gone. Like, when it comes to animated feature films, outside of, I think, superheroes, especially talking about Inside Out too, I don't know any of the character names in that movie. I haven't seen them, but still, even if you had never seen Shrek, you sort of know who the characters are. But isn't that kind of odd that I don't know who the main character is on the Inside Out movies?
Well, it's because you haven't seen it.
But still, because there's so many characters. There's like 12 characters in it.
And the new one.
Yeah, it seems like a lot.
They're all emotions, though. You already know them. Anger. I think it's just that you haven't seen it, so you don't know any of the characters.
It's just, but no, it's going to your point where like pairs or trios work really well, especially in animated movies.
Yeah,
I mean, Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, pairs work excellent, and we've talked about Buzz and Woody.
Well, Monsters Inc. is a 3.
Well, mostly 2.
Boo's in it.
Boo doesn't really say shit though.
Yeah, but she's there.
Yeah, but it's mostly a 2 though. That movie's between Mike and Sully. That's they're the leads, you know.
Yeah, but Boo is still a part of Boo makes it a trio.
True. Okay, but I said duos and trios combined. Yes. You know, I mean, both of them, both work. But Pixar's always had like that duo or trio vibe.
For sure.
And I think that's why this movie works so well as well. I'm agreeing with you that I think the trio factor and even just the pair factor between Shrek and Donkey works excellent for the first half of the movie. Mm-hmm. It does. You know, even Shrek solo is good. I don't know. There's something about just having 1 or 2 main characters in an animated movie that works really well.
I agree. I think the simplicity of it is its strength, and also they've done a pretty good job for the most part in the franchise of having good villains. The Fairy Godmother, number 2, I think is just the best villain in the franchise. the Shrek franchise, but I've heard the Puss in Boots villain is the best so far. And Lord Farquaad is a good villain, someone who's a coward, but he's in power. I like all the short jokes. That's very funny. And
I like when he's drinking a martini in bed.
Yeah.
He has the mirror, the magic mirror in his bed that he's looking at, like half naked.
And also, I love the interrogation with the gingerbread man, like everybody does. And what I love about it is he has like a interrogation room spotlight that he can like move. It's like it doesn't make sense for the setting, but it's just funny. It's just,
I love
it's
when
a
he's
gag.
being ducked upside down in milk, in a cup of milk. It's great, but there's some odd but funny things about the movie as well. Like all animated movies, I feel like, but especially the dragon and donkey and their intimate relationship is pretty funny, and how they progress with that in the future movies is pretty fun too. But I like that element.
I like how like they put lipstick on her and she's
and
a
eyelashes.
Girl. Yeah, and eyelashes.
And now she's a girl.
It's
Oh,
very
you're
cute.
a girl dragon.
It's very cute.
Oh, that's why you have such a wonderful white smile. Yeah.
Donkey must be packing.
Gross, Anthony.
I'm just saying, it's a big dragon.
It is a big dragon.
Like he's tiny.
All right, bro. But the movie has great messages. It has a great message about friendship. I mean, we've already talked about love, accepting yourself for who you are, your truest form. Love's truest form for Fiona is being an ogre and finding true love with Shrek, which was there the whole time, is in front of her the whole time. But also friendship because, like you said earlier, Shrek isolates himself because no one's ever talked to him in a non-aggressive way. Like the first time him and Donkey are talking after Donkey escapes with the help of Shrek, basically, and then he starts following around the swamp, and he's like, oh, we're going to be friends and everything like that. Shrek actually like lets down his guard because Donkey's genuinely curious about Shrek. He's like, you're not afraid of me? He tries to scare him. He's like, oh, no, I'm not afraid of you all. Like, I think you're great. And Donkey does things where he forgives Shrek because he says that's what friends do. Friends forgive each other. And it takes Shrek the entire movie really to accept a friend.
Yeah.
He's sort of afraid to have friends. He's afraid of love because he's just been met with animosity and hate and rage and anger. His entire life, everyone thinks he's this big, angry, evil, ugly ogre. But finally, there are these two people a donkey and this princess, who accept him for who he is. And it takes him the whole movie to accept that, but also this movie's great about building courage. You know, it takes him the whole movie with Fiona to build the courage to admit his feelings for her.
Yeah.
Until the very end. And even when he's on the altar and he's fumbling his words because he's trying to confess to her that he loves her, it's not until Lord Farquaad says, oh, don't tell me you've fallen in love with the princess. And then she asks if that's true, and he says yes. So even up to that point, he still doesn't have the complete bravery to admit his feelings, but he eventually does get it out.
Yeah. And
when he says, I love you, it's very sweet and tender.
yeah. They also do, oh, I know, that's in Shrek 2. I was going to say the upside down Spider-Man kiss. That's in number 2.
Yeah.
That's in Shrek. Yeah, Shrek 2.
But it's really sweet. And I like all the scenes with Princess Fiona before we know the secret of her curse, her burden, where she turns into an ogre when the sun sets, and all the silly things that they do where she like eats the same rats as him and loves it, and she burps and belches, and they have so many similarities even though she's this beautiful princess. But then she realizes that her truest form is who she should really be.
There's also a bunch of really great little Easter eggs. A really good one is oh, that's in Shrek 2. Sorry, I keep getting
Anthony, you can't keep fucking about to say something and then go, oh, actually, it's in Shrek 2. Actually, oh, sorry, that's in Shrek 2. Oh, sorry, that's actually in Miami Vice, my bad.
It's actually a Porsche.
It's actually, they ride a Porsche.
Honestly, I think I like Shrek 2 better than Shrek.
Shrek 2 is awesome.
Yeah.
It is. I think it's a better sequel because, like we said, Shrek's great, but they didn't have the full resources of DreamWorks at their disposal creatively. And then it's such a huge hit. They're like, oh, fuck, let's dump everything into Shrek 2.
And what's good is it was a great twist. It has a really great twist of Fiona being an ogre.
They hide her really well with the shadows, yeah.
The shadows, but also they hint at it a couple of times. One of the biggest hint, I mean, because at first when her and Shrek are bonding on their journey and they're getting along really well, like they seem to have like similar interests. She's not really afraid of anything like he is. She's kind of gross. She burps and like he blows up that toad into a balloon, and she blows the snake up into an animal balloon. And you're like, wow, like why is she like so similar to him? And then
They
also,
almost kiss.
They almost kiss. And also she makes him that treat with the stick and the spider webs and spiders in it. It's like his cotton candy. And when she hands it to him, she licks her fingers. So she clearly likes that taste too. So there are a lot of really great little hints of her true self sprinkled in the first half of the film that aren't revealed until near the end of their journey with her and Donkey.
I also love her big transformation at the end of the movie. On the altar, Lord Farquaad, the entire town, Duloc is all there, Shrek is there, and then she's trying to get this wedding over with quick because for Fiona, in her mind, she has to break this curse and be human fully.
Yeah.
And that's what she thinks is her form should be, her beauty, because of the standards that she expects.
Yeah.
And the standards of beauty that she thinks.
Handsome prince, beautiful princess. Yeah.
And then she accepts being an ogre and kisses Shrek, and then she has that big transformation where this is who she is. First, we get the transformation of her being an ogre before they kiss, and then they kiss. But I love that animation. It's like sort of the show-stopping moment of the movie when she transforms into an ogre. We actually see it for the first time fully, because we only see her as an ogre, but we didn't see the transformation when she's with Donkey inside of that little shack. And then she transforms in front of everybody, and then the kiss. And she says that line after the kiss that, oh, I thought I would be beautiful. But Shrek says, you are beautiful. Because she is. To Shrek, she's very beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's who she's meant to be.
Did you know that?
You're making me feel all teary inside. So sweet.
Shrek is the Yiddish word for fear or fright.
Interesting.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. Also, a fun fact is when the dragon breathes fire, it's towards Donkey. It's in the shape of a heart. The flames.
I like when she blows the smoke heart at him. He's I don't think this is going to work out. I'm asthmatic.
I'm asthmatic. Also, the dragon has a cookbook in her home, and it's called, it's a cookbook, and it includes choice cuts. And instead of the diagram of like a cow and its choice cuts, it's a knight. And it's like, little pieces of different kinds of cuts of meat.
Yeah.
It's that, but with a knight's body.
It's pretty funny.
I love when the dragon, after the transformation, all of the stained glass mirrors in the castle are broken, but then there's just one more with a image of Farquaad on it, and the dragon bashes it with her fist.
It's interesting. There's so many other cool facts.
So Farquaad's logo, it's an F, right? F for Farquaad, but it's a lowercase f to showcase his short status. So I thought, so on the flag, it's a lowercase f.
It always reminds me of the Facebook logo.
Yeah, it does look like the Facebook
It's just
logo.
inverted.
Holy shit.
The color scheme is inverted.
It looks a lot like the Facebook logo. You're right.
I wonder if, what year did Facebook start? In 2010? Oh, when it was really public. It was like 2008 that it was actually created on Harvard. But it looks like, it always reminds me of Facebook.
Yeah.
Just it's a blue F in a white background.
Also in the background of Lord Farquaad's room is a painting. It's a mural of him with his wife, but the wife's face is blank because he doesn't know who he's gonna marry yet. But he still had a portrait made of him and his wife, and he's standing on like a mound of dirt beside her to reach her height.
Robin Williams is also asked and attached to star, but he had a big falling out with Jeffrey Katzenberg when he was still at Disney, Katzenberg, and refused to work with him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
All right, pal. You got anything else on Shrek?
I have the origin of Lord Farquaad's name.
Let's get it.
So, he's named after a dormitory at the University of Notre Dame. They call the dorms there quads, and one of the creators of the character lived in the Farquad while attending Notre Dame, so they got the name Farquaad from that.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. That's my final fact for the night.
All right, that wraps our episode on Shrek. After many years of the podcast, we have finally covered this beloved animated film from DreamWorks. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Become a patron today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple. Subscribe, like, leave comments, share us with everybody you know, and take care.
See you next time.
This episode was executive produced by our Chosen One patrons,
Jacob Kossler,
Nicholas Martin. Our Chosen One patrons are our biggest supporters. Thank you so much.
Raiders of the Lost podcast is a mirror image production. Sound mixing done by Jacob Kossler. Opening music by Chase Jackson.